So Superman Man of Tomorrow is surprisingly really wicked and kickstarts a brand new DC animated movie universe, but it's just a shame that the movies after this are just not as great. What is up everybody, welcome back to my channel Lifestyle Critic. I hope you're having a brilliant day. So with this video we are going to be reviewing Superman Man of Tomorrow, which is another awesome DC animated original movie, this one kick-starting a brand new animated movie universe after the conclusion of the absolutely epic DC animated movie universe. And now we have the Tomorrowverse, which this is the first installment of, and it's actually really awesome. And I quite like how they've gone right back to the beginning, recounting the origins and the early tales of these awesome characters, and I cannot wait to break down Superman Man of Tomorrow with you in this movie review. So as this movie serves as the first installment of a brand new multiverse, as well as kickstarting Superman's storyline within that multiverse, it really quickly recounts the origin storyline that we all know and love, in terms of Kal-El coming down to Earth and being raised in Smallville by both Jonathan and Martha Kent, which we have seen a million times already, but then it quickly gets into the meat of the storyline, in terms of Clark Kent coming to Metropolis and working at the Daily Planet, as well as introducing 3 villains for Superman. So we have Lex Luthor, Lobo, and Parasite. And this is all taking place while the world is learning about the Flying Man, and Clark Kent is getting his suit as Superman and is transitioning into that character, and is really questioning whether or not he wants to come out to the world. And we also have a little bit of a mini origin storyline of the Lois Lane character as well, in terms of how she joined Metropolis's Daily Planet. And we also have Martian Manhunter being a bit of a support / mentor towards Superman. So a lot taking place in this movie, but I feel like it balances it all really well. So now let's dig a little bit deeper. So from a positives point of view, I really liked how all 3 of these villains, in particular Parasite and Lobo, were really unstoppable, and you really could feel that Superman really has got his work cut out for him. And I quite like that they have built this little new tight world for Superman, and it has got all of the things that you would know and love and expect from a Superman universe, and it is really wicked. And we always see Superman teaming up with Batman, so it's quite nice actually that this time it's only him and Martian Manhunter, and we do have a tiny hint and cameo look at Batman, which I thought was absolutely hilarious. And as with all of the other DC animated original movies, it definitely feels a lot more adult, which is so good. I feel like there are not that many animated shows or films that are really catering for an adult audience, but I feel like DC are always killing it from this point of view, quite literally, and it is really funny and has got a lot of wicked action sequences as well. However, from a negatives point of view, I feel like they built up this ultimate mega boss so well, but I just feel like it was over so quickly, and it would have just been so much better if that final battle would have just extended a little bit longer. And I just feel like it was a little bit too easy for Superman at the end, as it was just wrapped up so conveniently and so easily for Superman, and easily could have been so much more epic, and they could have made it more unexpected as well in terms of throwing even more twists and turns in there. And I definitely feel like they could have and should have done a lot more with Lex Luthor, but they have got him in the background doing a lot of sinister stuff, so maybe he'll come back in a future Superman movie and do all of the evil stuff that we know Lex Luthor is capable of. So from a storyline perspective, even though they could have definitely done a little bit more with the final boss battle in this film, I feel like on the whole it was a really solid Superman story. So I absolutely loved all of the characters and the cast members voicing them in this film, so let's go through them one by one. So first up, Darren Criss just does such a good job in terms of playing both Clark Kent and Superman. I feel like both of them are balanced really well. I feel like the duality of certain superheroes is so fascinating, in particular Bruce Wayne and Batman, Peter Parker and Spider-Man, and of course Clark Kent and Superman, and all 3 of them are just so brilliant in terms of the duality of both of the characters. And I feel like in this movie you get to see a lot of both of them, in terms of the shy version of Clark Kent entering into this world and not being that great of a reporter in the beginning, as well as him being absolutely awesome as Superman and a true alter ego to Clark Kent. So I absolutely love that they did that really well. And he is really questioning whether or not the world will accept him for being their savior and to be the Superman character, or if he should just reserve and stay in hiding, a little bit like Martian Manhunter is doing. So I feel like that was a really interesting question. You do learn of his past, and I'm glad that they've really sped through that, as like I said, we have seen it so many times, but at the same time, it was really important to set that up within this new world. Like I mentioned before, I absolutely love the fact that he got a little bit jealous over the fact that Lois Lane was really impressed by the fact that Batman has a cape, and this really incentivized Superman to have his cape. So we even had a little bit of desire for the cape from Superman's perspective. And they made it really crystal clear in this universe as well that Superman is able to recharge with the sun, which they don't always explain. And I absolutely love the fact that he really is out of his depth with these three mega villains, as Superman as a character is pretty unstoppable. And I really like the fact that we are in his younger years, as well as the fact that he has to contend with these two alien mega type villains. And we really do get to see Superman's rogue gallery. I mean, Batman and Spider-Man, going back to those two characters, their rogue gallery of villains are just absolutely iconic. And I feel like Superman's isn't at the same level, but it is really cool to see them front and center in this film. So I feel like Superman was just so brilliantly portrayed in this movie. And I also love the fact that he really is out of his depth, as well as he's not that experienced in terms of being Superman, and then he has these two juggernauts to contend with. I feel like Alexandra Daddario was also really, really great casting in terms of playing a younger version of the Lois Lane character, and I love the fact that even though she is a little bit younger, she is still super ambitious and is such a great reporter. She is entering the Daily Planet as a graduate, and even though her other peers are a lot older than her, they are still getting intimidated by her and are really jealous of her. So I feel like Lois Lane is just working within this unit really, really well. And it's really, really great to see her before she has a bit of a crush on Superman and before she has a relationship with Clark Kent. What is that world going to be like? Similarly, Zachary Quinto is bringing a really cool edge to the Lex Luthor character. He obviously is a bit of an evil megalomaniac and mastermind as well, but you don't see him becoming that character just yet. As like I said, this is the early years of all of these characters, so you do see the ingredients of him becoming that in the future, but in the beginning it is really, really cool to see him potentially working with Superman, but you do still see glimmers of his evil and terror that he is capable of doing, and it really does put a chill down your spine, especially when you're not expecting it as well. So I feel like Lex Luthor is really, really well depicted in this universe. I feel like Amadi was really, really great as well as the Martian Manhunter. Of course, he is a teammate in the future when they do become a Justice League team, but you do kind of, again, get to see the early threads of that, and he is a really great teammate and mentor without overshadowing Superman, as of course this is a Superman movie. So I feel like Martian Manhunter gives him this space to shine, while still being there in the background to give him a bit of a helping hand when he needs it. And we of course also have Jonathan Kent and Martha Kent giving the Clark Kent side of this character the advice from a human perspective, and always being there for him whenever he needs it from a Smallville point of view too. Ryan Hurst was perfectly casted as well as Lobo. I feel like he just brought so much edge and brute strength to this character, and was a pretty great match to Superman. And I love how he didn't even take anything that seriously. He was always laughing, and he was just really showing how much of an intimidating character he is, and he really was a match to Superman as well. I did a little bit of world building in terms of setting the stakes and the world from an alien point of view too, and really introduced the concept of bounty hunters and how everybody is after the Kal-El character. And then finally we have Brett Dalton playing Rudy and Parasite, a really iconic character from the comic books, and we have seen him in a lot of medium across live action and animation, and it is a really great depiction here as well. And I love how they really did add a lot of emotion from this character's perspective, as well as throwing another massive contender in the mix as well. And this character is pretty unstoppable in terms of being able to suck out so many people's powers and then just build them into his own. So a true parasite and a true global threat as well. I feel like he could have easily destroyed the entire world, but I just feel like he was just defeated so quickly right at the end of this film. And I just feel like it's really frustrating, as he was just so unstoppable and so powerful, and they definitely could have and should have done a little bit more with him. But that being said, I feel like from a casting character's point of view, this movie was absolutely flawless. So from a visuals point of view, Superman Man of Tomorrow looks so good. I feel like it really is really vibrant, really rich, and the animation style is just so brilliant. And it's got a really perfect balance of looking really modern while still having the really cool look of the past, which just works really well. And I really loved all of the fight sequences. There were plenty of fight sequences. Superman had so many battles in this movie. And as the Parasite character was just getting bigger and bigger, I really like how they used scale to really show how massive he was from a human point of view, just looking up at him. And everybody loves the power of flight, and I feel like all of the flight sequences involving Superman and the bike that Lobo was using as well was really wicked, as well as Martian Manhunter. All of his powers are looking really cool. And on that point, I love how they were really showing the difference and the similarities between aliens and humans. So I feel like from a visuals representation point of view, Superman Man of Tomorrow looked really awesome. So from a comparisons point of view, I feel like Superman is such a wicked character, and he really should be at the level that Batman and Spider-Man are just able to dominate within the public arena. But you know, in terms of comparing it to other movies, I feel like it is a lot similar to Superman Doomsday, Superman All-Star, and Superman Unbound. But I don't think this movie is as good as the recently released Injustice, which I just thought was absolutely incredible, and also the DC AMU Superman movies, namely Death of Superman and Reign of Superman, which I thought was absolutely wicked. But you know, that being said, Superman Man of Tomorrow is still a wicked entry. So overall, I actually really enjoyed Superman Man of Tomorrow. I think it was a really great new entry as part of the Tomorrowverse universe. I think it definitely kickstarted this new universe really well. I was a little bit apprehensive going into it as I was such a big fan of the DC AMU, and I have to say the movies subsequently released after Man of Tomorrow have been a little bit hit and miss. So for example, Justice Society World War II and Batman The Long Halloween haven't been as good as Man of Tomorrow, but I have to say Green Lantern Beware My Power was absolutely killing it. So you know, I am really intrigued to see what the future could hold for this universe and for future Superman installments within the Tomorrowverse. But you know, as far as Man of Tomorrow is concerned, it was a really wicked entry, and so for all of those reasons, I'm going to give it a solid 7 out of 10. Now I'd love to hear what you thought of Man of Tomorrow, so please let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in my next video.